To bed. You have the, you have it there, right?
Yeah, 144. Page 144.
Yeah, page 144. Book 2.
Jane Underhill will speak, and I will be the robot.
Oh, robot.
As the both sides of it.
So you'll see here on page 144, required paraphernalia, Achman cup, fresh water, spoon. We have these beds set up. Oftentimes we'll have some night clothes. In this case, we'll just go to the existing. So in some cases we'll, change the outfit altogether. Oftentimes that's what we do in the temples. Some flowers or flower petals. We have some bowls of condensed milk. And we have water cups. And we added the Vishajanya Patra transcendental bin for any kind of things we might want to put away. Okay? So, what times of the day typically do we wake up the deities and put the deities to rest? In a temple setting? 4 o'clock. So around this time in the afternoon, oftentimes, and then of course at night. So it happens twice. Would you like to explain the difference in procedures sometimes between what we do in the afternoon and evening?
Afternoon, you may not want to put the deities in bed, so you'll just do by just gesturing, touch their feet, and then ask them to come to the bed. As much meditation as you want to do, you can do, but that's basically it. Ask them to touch their feet, ask them to take rest. If you want, you can take their crowns and the roots off. So this is for the afternoon. So it will be more convenient. and simply you wake them up. Just ring the bell, touch the feet, ring the bell, and ask them to wake up, give archment, and after the boga, then you can put the crowns and fruits back on again. But if you want, you can put them in bed.
Yeah, obviously if there's elaborate dressing and decoration and flower garlands and all that, putting them physically to rest in the afternoon can be quite challenging.
Time consuming.
Okay. Would someone like to read this first paragraph that we have here during the afternoon?
During the afternoon, immediately after the Rajabhoga Arati, and at night after the Shayana Arati, put the deities to bed. In the afternoon, you need not offer the condensed milk or drinking water, but you may remove the crowns and garlands, at least from the small deities, who should be placed into beds. At night, change the deities' clothing. If there are only large deities, offer them small beds, escorting them to the beds by meditation, and offer them services, just as you would offer to small deities.
Thank you. Okay, so then we go to page 145. And just as the beginning of, just like we have at the beginning of any services that are mentioned here, we'll be performing Achman, offer obeisances to the spiritual master and the deities outside the deity room. So we'll assume that all these preliminary aspects have been done. And then we'll enter the deity room. And so when we enter the deity room, what do we do? Or prior, right? We announce ourselves. So there's different ways we can do that. You can, as it's mentioned here, we can ring a bell. Oftentimes we'll have the bell outside the door. And we have that on Radha Manava's altar, I believe, right? We have a bell? Yes.
All of them.
All the altars. Okay. If you don't have that, then just knock on the door or clap your hands. And you'd want to bring in whatever necessary paraphernalia that there is. Okay. So now you see here, putting the spiritual master and deities to beds. So we're going to place each deity's bed before or beside the altar, so we can understand this to be like the altar, and then the beds, and then just now. And then it mentions here sitting on an asana. Depending upon the height of the altar and the situation, that might not be so convenient. If the deities are lower down, then certainly that can work. So either sit on an asana, meditate that you're sitting at the feet of the main deities, ready to offer them various services. At night, remove any garlands, jewelry, and outer clothing, leaving the undergarments on. The idea is to make them comfortable. So we'll do that now. We'll take off the flower garlands. And with some CDs, sometimes we may leave a light necklace or something like that, but the principle is that we keep them comfortable. Okay, so we can go ahead and do this stuff, I guess.
Okay. And then asana,
Okay.
just to get in the mood. Yeah, yeah. Hey, obeisances, offer your obeisances to the spiritual master, take his permission to enter. Jai Shri Nitay Gaur ki Jai. Touching this hand. Then we enter.
Take off the jewelries and get them set up to be comfortable to go into their beds. And while Prabhu is getting them ready to go to bed, what order would we place the deities to bed? Say you have Radha Krishna, Gaura-Nitay. What order?
Main deity first.
Main deity first? Generally, the senior would be the first to go to rest, and the last to wake up, right? So the servant goes to bed after, you could say the servant or the junior goes to bed after the senior and wakes up before the senior. So therefore you see here mantras on page 145, mantras for putting to rest Radha Krishna. And then after that you'll see mantras for Jagannath and then Gaura-Nitay.
Now we put that night clothes on.
Yeah, we don't have, as mentioned, oftentimes we'll change to night clothes. In this case, we'll just have that understanding. So depending upon the weather, we may take a chadar off, or we may leave it on, depending upon the temperature. Also, in some cases, like Prabhu is doing, sometimes some temples they'll keep tulsi on the feet overnight. Sometimes they'll clean off tulsi and chanda. No, it would happen the next meeting.
Especially on the face, because I don't know if you ever slept with chandan on. Sometimes it gets in your hand and it stings. But the tulsi and flowers, If you don't, at least they should be removed before mobilizing.
Tulsi also?
Before, yeah. Well, you can put fresh Tulsi also.
Okay. In some deities, maybe you could talk about the difference between the deities with bases and not having bases. Bases and no bases, removable.
Yeah. These are removable. It's good for sleeping. Because if they have the base on, then the base is generally wider, so they sleep in with their head down. So here, you see they made the mattress higher here, so it will accommodate for the base. But here we don't have much base because we have a separate one. So if you have a fixed one, then this is an idea that make them more comfortable.
Okay. And so you all have mostly learned these mantras. We can chant the mantra for Mahaprabhu. Page 146. Agachadishram.
Shanam Vishramya Sukena Lilaya Vihara Prabhu
Nityananda.
Agachashayana Sthanam Nityananda Jagadguru Tavarupe Mahavishnu Anante Shayanam Kuru.
Okay, and we see here at the bottom of 145, bring the Lordship's shoes from the altar to the bed, thinking that you're escorting the deities to their resting place. And place the shoes next to the bed, either on a small table, mat, pillow, what have you. And then you, depending upon the logistics of the altar, you might physically move them at this time or not. We have limited space here, so we'll leave them here for now. And then at this point, we're going to be offering these different items you see at the top of 146. So it says, sit before their lordships and offer the following items while ringing the bell in the left hand and chanting the appropriate mantras. So you have two items here. You have condensed milk, ganadugdam, and you have water. So we're going to offer these two things. It's not... You may do that. Would you like to do that first? Okay, so in this case, you can decorate the bed before or after. So
After this?
Before.
Doesn't have it.
I don't think it's
Before.
It doesn't mention.
Yeah, better do it before, so then they don't have to wait.
So depending upon the facility, some temples, they'll have plenty of flowers to be able to do nice decoration. Some may not. A concern also is leaving, if you leave the flowers, sometimes some flowers will stain the sheets. So you may put them there, but then you remove them. But you'll notice in some of the mantras, especially with the Radha Krishna mantra that you see around 145, it specifically states Divya Puspatya, having flowers.
What about the cup? Because they have cup, small cup for each deities should be removed with the shoes.
It's nice to put the cups by the side of the bed when they go to the thing. Yeah. That way it's within reach. Alright. Okay, so now ideally we would have the plate closer to this side and have it set up a little more conveniently. Are you okay, or shall we move the beds down so you can put the plate there? That's okay, so you see at the top of page 146, the first item we offer is this condensed milk.
You use a spoon or just, you don't have to use straight from the bowl.
Idan ganadutam. And you can, if there is space, you can put the bowl, by the bed or in the general area. And we'll offer the same to Lord Nityananda. And then we can water after that. And then because this condensed milk, it leaves like a stickiness in the mouth, so also we offer water to clear the palate before going to bed. And if we had some space between the beds, we could put a cup like on either side, something like that, so they're within easy reach overnight.
These are small enough when you do this on the bed, when they're laying down.
Well, when you're laying down on the bed, would you be drinking condensed milk?
Well, I don't know, they just say they cover them with bed, like with the bed covered, so it doesn't mean that they're already laying down.
Or you can say they're sitting on the bed.
So they will be on the bed.
No, well, if you have a table, then you'll consider the table by the bedside. But otherwise, sit on the bed.
Okay. So now we would, at this point then, after they had their little treat of condensed milk and water, now it's time to place them actually onto the bed. You start with Mahaviri. And as mentioned before, depending upon the climate, you might have more or less clothing, you might have more or less covers.
Mantra no is mantra you have mantra you have to tell while making this.
So we mentioned we chanted the mantra in
yeah.
intention, come to your bed prior.
Yeah. Now no need of chanting.
No need to chant an additional mantra afterwards or a second time. We already brought them to the Sayan Asan. We were talking about the asans, so the understanding is
No harm. If you want to chant again, you can chant.
Is it possible to chant the mantras just now? Yeah. Not before?
Yeah.
you could. It's a detail. Per the manual, it's stating to go ahead and chant the mantra first and then do these things. I wouldn't consider it right or wrong, but in terms of the order, we're calling them to the Sayanasana, the bed, the sleeping place, and then we're offering these items, and then we're physically placing. So you can understand it to be one, situation. Okay.
If they're sitting on the bed and taking, then they'll just lay down. Of course.
And as a practical matter, we don't recommend in the temples leaving the condensed milk overnight on the altar because it attracts bugs, vermin, like that. So it can immediately be taken off and then that maha can be distributed, as is done here, right, with Janardhan?
They actually offer to Prabhupada and the other side.
So Janardhan, on Radhamadhava's altar, a bowl of kheer is offered in the evening, and then the maha would be taken to Srila Prabhupada on his Vyasasana, I believe.
Yeah, because they put into rest also with the mosquito net. And
And then after that, I've seen
after that, so they're 8:30, 40, and they
they distribute it.
Is there a reason why it's condensed milk to be offered? Because I was told that actually they're not offered any milk or yogurt specifically the dailies in the evening for the last offering because they can't digest too well. But is there a specific reason why they offer condensed milk as a treat? Could it be any? I mean, is it why condensed milk?
It's the traditional offering. Would you have anything to add to that?
No, it's a traditional offering.
Okay.
Milk is very, very soothing. Milk contains, even according to modern research, certain chemicals that lull you into sleep. So therefore, and condensed milk means those chemicals are naturally available chemicals are more stronger. So Krishna goes to sleep very soon.
Sound sleep.
Because you don't offer preparations with yogurts.
That is fair.
That is, milk is not yogurt.
That is sour.
Milk is different, yogurt is
But it
yogurt
induces,
during the day, milk in the night.
because
Hot milk.
hot milk may induce us sleep also.
Yes.
So condensed milk has to be warm?
Yes.
No,
Has to be warm.
no,
No, no.
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 Cool, yeah.
Not out of the fridge.
Oh.
It's not refrigerated. Alright? It's not refrigerated.
Some temples will simply offer, if they have less facility time, they'll offer hot milk, warm milk in the evening too. That goes on in
Yeah.
many of our temples.
But I would like to ask you that is it practiced here in a year? Is it practiced here in main deities Radha Atma?
Here.
Yeah, daily.
Yeah.
And milk?
Milk they get it before the Shine Arti,
At night meal time.
night meal.
What time?
Huh?
8 o'clock.
Okay.
And the bed and all they placing?
Not
Yeah.
milk, not
No
milk.
play. Only milk offering.
No, milk with the meal they get milk.
Meal.
also.
Night meal.
Me only milk.
Meal.
Meal.
భోజనం ఉంటుంది తర్వాత పాలు ఉంటాయి దాంతో
And
పాటు
something.
మళ్ళీ
It's a
పడుకునేటప్పుడు
big offering. Prabhupada said make a big offering that time. With cakes and sweets and figs all that.
Maybe you could also explain, out of all the deities we have here, which deities do we actually physically place in the beds? Do we have beds available for?
Hmm.
Like how does
So on the Radhamata was also we put Shaligram Janardhan. You get the silver bed with the mosquito net. For the Panchatattva we have a bed, simple bed because there's no space. And it's on the altar itself. And then we just mentally invite them, we go through the procedure, but we don't actually put them into bed. We used to, but those deities are very heavy. They're more than 25 kilos. So they're quite heavy. So then it wasn't it was a little dangerous also. So now we do it by meditation mantras, chant the mantras.
So you can put the
Upper tier.
shoes near the bed?
We take the shoes there. And upper care and go to the upper care also. And Shinkadev, he doesn't get any care.
Why? He's missing out. He doesn't sleep.
Milk is heating.
Does he have a bed?
No, he doesn't have a bed.
He stays awake.
He doesn't have an asan, he doesn't have a chamra. Because of fire hazard for the chamra. And then offers agya or cloth during the arti. It was imported from South India. This city is what they wanted as keep it as much like that as possible. So he made that standard, so he's keeping that.
Is there anything you'd like to add? Any other questions before we now show waking with you? Yes, good point. Yes. So we have a mantra here. Thank you for reminding.
Can I just ask, so Nishingadev doesn't go to bed at all? He gets invited to bed, but it's all a
Yes.
mental kind
Yes.
of bed, not no physical?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
just by meditation.
So you notice in the resting procedure, after we put the deities to bed, then there's the mantra for finally putting the spiritual master to bed. Bolo? And so, obviously, we have pictures of our acharyas and Srila Prabhupada specifically. That picture would stay on the altar generally. And for our Diksha Guru that we'd have on the altar when we're, for those of us who are not Prabhupada disciples, we would take that picture then off the altar and place it whatever appropriate place that has been made in the pujari room. Not that we leave overnight, because then perhaps another pujari who's not initiated by your spiritual master is there and would have to tend to him. So as a matter of practicality, our Diksha Guru's picture would come off the altar in the evening and be suitably, properly placed in the pujari room or whatever area that's made for it. Okay?
And those little scarves that we have seen around the Guru Parampara, was that for winter or was that for the evening as a sort of sleeping back cover?
Yeah. Winter.
Picture covers.
Okay, so it's not for, that's not a blanket to sleep.
No, but you can't, people do it. Sometimes they lay the picture down and view it, and they put their cloth over it. As you want. The local tradition around here, you'll see they put the cloth covered in it, cover sleeping.
I have a question. Because I read it's one deity getting full service first and then next one. So should we offer sweet rice and then water to Gaura and then eating on the sweet rice and water because it's written like this?
You could do like that. It's mentioned at the, whether it be in the Shodashupachara procedure, where you could go through the entire worship, all 16 items for just Mahaprabhu, and then go to Nityananda. My point is, it's the same principle. So you could either, the point is that Mahaprabhu would get each item before Nityananda, whether or not you go through the whole procedure with Mahaprabhu first and then Nityananda, that's somewhat optional. Okay?
Because it's, how you do in a temple? How you do in a temple? One by one or same item?
I don't know.
Okay, let's move to, what page is it?
57 or 56.
Yes, 56. Okay, as you see at the page, top of page 57, same preliminaries. If you're, coming in the morning or in the afternoon, you're generally starting your services at this point, so you'd be performing Achman and paying your obeisances. And then you see here it says, while ringing a bell just outside the deity room, chant the following verses, meditating on the Lord awakening and begging him to bestow his mercy. Bolo. And now, and so while entering the deity room, we're going to draw the Lord's attention by bell or clapping and chanting the deity's names. You'd be bringing in the picture of your spiritual master as well in the morning. And then you see here, place your spiritual master's picture on the altar next to the pictures of the Guru Parampara, on Srila Prabhupada's right, or on a table in front of the altar. And then you see here it says it's mentioning the different respective mantras that you would use. And then while ringing the bell with your left hand, you approach your spiritual master's picture, gently touch his feet with the fingertips of your right hand, and request him to rise from bed with the following mantra. Bolo. Oh wonderful spiritual master, please rise from bed. And then next you're going to approach Lord Nityananda's bed, in this case. And you touch his Oh, Nityananda, Lord of Janava, please arise and give up your divine sleep. At the marketplace of the holy name, you distribute the divine name, asking only for one's faith as payment. Then you approach Lord Chaitanya's bed. Oh Lord Gauranga, please rise from sleep and bless the three worlds with your auspicious glance. Okay. And at this point we would physically pick up the deities and place them back on their appropriate area on the altar. And then we'd replace any crowns, chatters, jewelry, and so on. And you'll see it's mentioned here, this optional section, cleaning the Lord's teeth. So sometimes this is done in our temples at this point, or sometimes it's done as part of the puja after Mangalarti. And then in terms of the beds, oftentimes the beds will be placed in some inconspicuous place, either towards the rear of the deity room. Sometimes they may be placed in the pujari room. In some cases, the deities' beds are left within the vision of the guests from the darshan, from the temple room. You can always see the beds. So there's not a hard and fast rule, but the idea is usually they're at least put to the side.
When would it be a good time to move the beds? After or before they're getting dressed, or it doesn't matter?
So say it's morning time right now, and the beds would generally be moved before Mangalarti, before the curtains open for Mangalarti.
What I mean is that would you want the beds to be moved after they've been dressed, not to wait, let them wait?
Not a hard and fast rule either way, but from the consideration of being personal and not having them wait, I think it would be nice to. Sometimes moving the beds can be a very quick thing, so no problem. But if it requires you to maybe go all the way off the altar and into the pujari room and things like that, it may be better to tend to the deities first and get them situated, then deal with the beds afterwards.
So cleaning with what? Dirty cleaning with the teeth, no? With the tulsi stick?
Neem stick is
Neem
traditionally used.
Neem stick.
Yeah. So many temples will have a neem stick.
Neem sticks, that be with the mantra way. Okay.
It can also be done by substitution.
Okay.
Substitution can and is often done via water.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like you saw Nishima Kavacha Prabhu, the incense wasn't working out for him yesterday, right? So he substituted the dupa with water. Okay.
But what about the cleaning of the place itself? As in before putting these out of bed, we should clean the area where they're going to be put, or if not?
Typically the area is cleaned in the evening. It's wonderful if you clean in the morning as well. But since no services were done between putting them to bed and waking in the morning, generally things are quite tidy. Okay. Any other questions for Prabhu?
We're not going to see how the teeth clean
We don't have a twig. We generally don't demonstrate this aspect, but we can discuss it if you'd like. So, what is it? There's certain sastic regulations. You have a neem stick normally about the width of a finger, pinky finger, and actually, why don't you describe it? You're more familiar, I'm sure.
They want to know about the...
Tell them a little bit about the stick and the neem stick and fir brushing.
So the neem stick should be about 3.5 to 4 inches, not longer than that. The thickness should be approximately little finger's thickness. And it should not have abrasive things protruding out of that.
It should be soft.
It should be soft. And this we take and then we move it towards the mouth of the deity, left to right.
Left to right.
Okay. And then we discard it. Then we wash our hands using Samanyakya water. Then again we take the next one and then we come to, first we offer to Gauranga and then we offer to Nityananda. The same procedure.
How many times you have to do? One time?
Just a couple of times.
Okay.
In this stick also, in its preparation, it's made into a brush at the end.
Yes.
So it's
You can
cut or mashed, so it
bristles.
it's like bristles.
Like bristle.
How you can do that?
You can just place it and then you can crush it. Then it spreads. Not so soft. Yeah. But that is acceptable.
Only neem stick is acceptable.
Prabhupada used some babua tree when he was in West. Sometimes he used eucalyptus tree. So, but Shastras say that we should not take from mango, we should not take from these flowering trees which we use for, so they are to be considered for another.
Thorn tree is allowed.
Thorn tree is also not. So basically we should stick to neem tree or eucalyptus, which Prabhupada personally showed that we can use.
What's your experience in our ISKCON temples in India? Are they often substituting or are they actually using?
In all the big temples in India, they use a neem stick. They stock it up for the week and then they use it. And in smaller temples where HR is a problem, number of devotees collecting all the paraphernalia, then they use Samanyargya water and then Esha Danta Kasta. That's all.
Can it only be used once?
Used ones? Used ones are discarded in a place where we discard the Nirmalya, where the leg of anybody does not touch.
You're asking, can you use the same stick like daily?
No. Only once. Only one. If you want to use it again and again, Shastras do permit that you can utilize in gold or silver. You can make
Toothbrush.
a toothbrush. And then even the tongue cleaner also.
But like, you mean like a one type of like cold toothbrush, like the type that we know, or like a stick with like thingy on top?
I have not seen, so I do not know. What I have not seen, not experienced, I should not speak. But tongue cleaners, as Prabhu pointed out, yes, the tongue cleaner, you know the shape of that. On either side, in this side is chakra, on that side is shankha. So it is embellished very nicely, and you can use it for the Lord, and then you can wash it and reuse it, just like you're using the other paraphernalia.
But should be gold item.
Silver, generally silver.
I guess you could think of it as a similar principle, like we don't reuse earthen vessels. We don't reuse clay pots, but metal ones no problem. So similarly, it's a similar idea between the wooden and metal.
So the tongue scraper is optional if you have the need.
Yes, I think in level 1 it's optional.
Yeah, there's a Hiram Jivolikanam.
Jivaleka.
Yeah, that's the Upachara mantra for.
Do we have it?
Yeah.
Well, they're two separate things. The tongue cleaner and the one is for teeth. One is for the
Danta
tongue.
Kashta. Danta Kashta is the toothbrush for the Lord, and Jivolekana is the tongue cleaner for the Lord. Yesha Danta Kashtaha and Diti Mula Mantra, and Idam Jivolekana. Diti Mula Mantra.
question is, if you brush their teeth, they need to scrape as well, right? So you can't do one or the other.
No, you
No,
scrape
you
and
can do
then.
both.
Can or should?
If you have time, and
So those-
otherwise you can take that nitwig, split it down the middle, and use that for the.
So these Upachara mantras are mentioned elsewhere in the book. You'll find it in the Shalagram Puja, maybe the Radha Krishna Puja. It's mentioning these things.
Page 61.
It's there as well?
We're just giving a basic standard that you can follow, but you can increase much more. All these things, toothbrushes, tongue cleaners, padyams, archamans, we didn't offer, you see. But obviously you're going to before they eat, after they've eaten, you should do all these things. But it's just a standard, at least, this much. Then as much as you want, you can expand.
Yes, please.
We missed one step where meditating on special master's shoes when we wake up the special master. We are meditating and we are moving the shoes from his bed to the altar. It's mentioned here.
Shoes of the
Maybe
deity.
you put it to bed.
It is here, special master's shoes.
From here and we can.
That's a meditation.
Back to the altar.
Yeah, it's meditation.
If you have shoes to indicate that the Lord is moving, you can kindly pick up their shoes and then place it in the place where they have to be. Just like Nrsimha Kavacha Prabhu, he demonstrated to us that when the Lord moves from his asana to the Snanapatra, he first took the shoes, touched it to the Snanapatra and then put it back. So the same thing.
That's not that, this one. That's not mentioned there.
What, to move the shoes back?
Yeah. No, to move the shoes to the, yeah, in the morning.
I think it was mentioned in night, but I don't know. Do you see it written in the procedure, waking up to move any shoes?
Yeah.
Shoes is there.
It's saying
Is
move
that-
it?
They can do it.
Thanks there.
There's no harm in doing all these things if you have the time and
Yeah. An indication of change of asana from Shayanasana to Matrasana.
but for the guru here, it's mentioned that that's meditation.
Yes.
Yeah, the shoes are not mentioned.
Because typically in our temples, we do not have the Guru's shoes inside our heart. So therefore, mentally we are visualizing, meditating.
Manasa.
You can put those in flowers this time or no?
There's no restriction on these things. You can do them. I think they want to see some tulsi and flowers.
Hey, Dr. C. Badram. Prabhupada said tulsi should be offered profusely. Krishna likes white flowers, scented form.
Okay. So now what we're going to do is, why don't we take a little break, and then we have stations set up in the other two rooms as well as here, and you can get into groups, not necessarily your 5 puja groups because that's too many people in a group, but 2 or 3 of you can go to each station and you can practice this procedure for waking and resting the deities.
Yeah.
I think what we're going to do so that there's more ability to practice, we're going to have you practice with 1 deity as opposed to 2. So we'll split it up. One can have Gauranga, one can have Nityananda. That way we'll have effectively 8 or 10 different stations.
Yeah.
And then you all can be in groups of 2 or 3 and each take turns.
Not necessary to bed.
Yeah, not for
Okay.
practice. You can work with 1 deity, 1 day.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So please take a break. If you haven't chanted Gayatri, maybe chant Gayatri quickly, and then within the next 10 minutes or so, we can do some practicing until